In my head I may not know what
My name is Yvonne Davis, and I'm officially been named the project manager for Mining Mud and Metals, all about the tunnels of World War I from the Ballarat electorate. And where we are today, where we're sitting here, is part of the old School of Mines. And so the people we are researching and hope to find out more about either went to the School of Mines or came from Ballarat surrounding area. I hope by the end of it we can do them all justice and people in Ballarat will say, look, this is part of our history. You know, this is what these people did. They went to the schools of mines, or they were miners, and they came here for the gold rush initially and ended up fighting at the Western Front or elsewhere. Today we've asked people of the public in Ballarat or wherever else they came from, if they have any mementos that they would like scanned or find out how to care for them. A lot of people might have photographs or papers or letters, and people don't always realise how to look after them.
Dead man coming back to life.
I'm Sharon Upham, and from my mother's side of the family, I brought my grandmother's two brothers who went to the First World War.
My name's Steve Hunter, and I've brought along a viewfinder that belonged to my grandfather. It's about 100 years old. It shows 3D photographs of the horrors of war and a few other different things that are on there.
So today was a day where people could bring in stuff, find out how to look after it and have it for the next couple of generations, as well as people came in today to find out where they could find out more about their relatives by way of computers.
I'm Neil Leckie, and I'm the manager of the Ballarat Ranger Military Museum. And my connection with the military started in 1968 when I got called up for national service. In 1914, Ballarat was a big regional city. It was the biggest regional city in those days, just bigger than Geelong. There were around 6,000 men who were enlisted who claimed to be born in Ballarat. Quite a lot of men would have trained at School of Mines because it was a mining college, and they would have gone off into the tunnelling companies. We know that quite a few from Ballarat were there at Hill 60, and they would use their mining skills down there.
When you look at the Western Front in the First World War, there was nothing left standing. Buildings were gone. There wasn't even a tree in sight quite often. So the only way to get to the enemy was to go underground.
And a lot of the time the tunnellers lay on their back to push the shovels in, because they didn't have a 6-foot tunnel to work in. It would have been a lot narrower than that.
Quite often they're also called clay kickers, some of them, because they had to really kick with the machine to get the clay out, and they tunnelled underneath the German lines.
Well, the aim of the tunnellers was to make tunnels where you could get underneath the enemy and plant mines. Now, they called it a mine, but these mines were just tons and tons of explosives, so they had to have these big holes in the ground, get the explosive underneath it, and then they would all get out and get a long way away, and then press the button and it would explode. Some of the mines that were exploded were so large that they were actually heard in England when they went off.
We already knew of a few tunnellers, but now we're still finding more, and it's just great to be able to acknowledge them. I always felt it was a bit of a lost history. So it's nice to be able to work on a project for the next couple of years to get the history, to get the backgrounders, to get photos and little personal stories. It's those little bits and pieces that make a person who they are. And it's just really nice to find out. And then we also have 8 members of one of the tunnellers' families that's come down from Queensland. And to meet them and to see a postcard that he's written to the family is just, you know.
Nothing much was said about Arthur Elton Tandy in our family, I suppose because my father was much younger than he was. It just so happened that we came into possession of a number of letters that he wrote from France and Belgium in 1916, 1917. And we brought them with us today and have had them scanned and recorded. And the reason we came, I found out through duty, this whole weekend was on, and that's why we're here.
It gives this human insight. It's not just a name anymore that's written on a gravestone, it's a person.
So the tunnelling company that Arthur Elton was a lieutenant in was the company that did Hill 60.
And our other link with Ballarat, of course, is that he attended the School of Mines in 1902, I think.
And I said to them, you'll have to wander around the area because this is where he would have studied all those years ago. This is the place where he came to.
4,000 men enlisted in Ballarat, and unfortunately of those 4,000, around about 400 didn't come home.
The impact of losing these miners, mining engineers, electricians and carpenters would have had to have an impact on the city at the time.
So there were some effects on Ballarat when you take away up to 4,000 men, a lot of them who were hands-on workers.
I think people came today because they had the opportunity to find out about their World War I ancestors.
If we don't have our Anzac Day commemorations continued, and if we don't keep showing things to people to see what men and women did in those battles, in those wars, then it'll all be forgotten.
I think it's important that every generation keeps that in mind and never forgets what they've done, ever. Should never ever be forgotten.